What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 10. Is it episode 10, Mario?
It
It's
is.
episode 10 of All You Can Talk Sports. I am your host, Nate Campbell, aka Soupy Campbell. That's McCarr, aka Mario Carpenter. Mario, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm good, man. I'm eating dinner as we speak right now. It's like the only meal I've had all day. But anyway, I hope you guys don't hear me chewing because I'm hungry as hell and I needed something to eat today. It's like the first thing I've eaten all day. Regardless of that, though, we got some Thursday night football incoming. With, by the way, it's on in an hour, so we gotta get this done as soon as possible. Get this stuff uploaded and watch my damn Panthers on TV. Because I'm telling you right now, it's the Falcons and the Panthers. Mario, I've been telling you this all week. If my Panthers lose this game, it's game over for us this year, man. I'm telling you that right now. So, with that said, Mario, who you got this game?
Before I tell you who I got, if I was you, I just probably mute it while I'm talking because like the way Zoom works is like they'll hear something like the screen will switch. So I just
Right.
do that. But like, I hope you. What are you eating?
Oh, I'm eating one Russa and fries. My dad made this for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay. I see you. I see you. All right, let's get to this, Nate. Let's get to this. All right. So before I tell you, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. It looks like the Falcons have so much upside, but I know the Falcons. But I know the Falcons. I know they have a history of blowing leads. I already know that. So like we can keep talking about that. But personally, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go Carolina. All right, despite the Falcons having upside, because they do have an upside against the Carolina Panthers in a lot of categories, and I'll get to that. But I'll go Panthers because I feel like this is a must win for them because this division is so tightly packed for like first place, and it's just the win that the Panthers need, especially with the fact that the NFC West is so OP'd, and that a lot of them could be in that 3 out of 4 of them at least could be making it to the playoffs. So the Panthers really do need this win if they don't get the league leaders in that division. But I go Panthers. I think the Panthers will win this game. I think they're gonna know what to do to win. To go through some stats though, like that Atlanta has some upside with. Total yards per game, Atlanta has 401, opposed to Carolina's 369. Total passing yards, Atlanta has 295.6, opposed to Carolina's 263.7. Um, See, rushing yards, they each have 105.4 yards every game per game, which I think is pretty. I think that's pretty rare for two teams to have the exact same amount of rushing yards. But Atlanta has 26. They average 26.3 points per game, opposed to Carolina's 23. Passing yards allowed. This is Carolina beats them 227 to 333. Rushing yards, Carolina beats them 124 to 92. And then points allowed, Carolina beats them 24 to 29. Then you got yards per play. Carolina gets 6.1 yards per play, opposed to Atlanta's 5.7. Um, as for defense, Carolina is ranked 19th, opposed to Atlanta's last in the league and 32nd. Um, and yeah, that's all the upside for all those teams. Atlanta beats them third in offense, opposed to Carolina's ninth. Um, second in passing, opposed to Carolina's sixth, and they barely beat Carolina in rushing, 16th to 17th. But one more thing that Atlanta has a lot of upside to is Miller, Haynes, Kerr, Abada are all questionable, and then Russell Okung, your offensive tackle, your starting offensive tackle, is doubtful, and the only guy that they have a possible injury for is McKinley. So that's injuries. I think Russell Okung not playing this game is going to be a really key factor to the Panthers possibly losing this week. I'm gonna still go Panthers winning, but there's a lot of upside for Atlanta to win, and if they won, I wouldn't be shocked. Your thoughts, Nate?
Well, I gotta go with my team, and let me tell you why this is a must-win game. It goes far beyond the fact that we're on a two-game losing streak. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why this is a must-win game for us. Our schedule is tight next week. Our schedule is going to be tight the next couple of weeks. So let me tell you. Let me show you. Let me show you. All right. We lost against the Bears. That was that needed to be a must-win game. We had to beat the Saints last week, and we didn't do that. Now we're facing another division rival in the Falcons. We got to beat them again, and it's not even just about the odds. Let me tell you a little something. These next 2 weeks are crucial. We face the Chiefs next week, week 9. And in week 10, we face the NFC South Division leader in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is crucial. If we don't
I
win this
agree.
game, there's no momentum to beat the Chiefs. There's no momentum to beat the Bucs. And this is why I've been telling you this. If we don't win this game, it's season over for us. Because if we don't win this game, we don't have a chance of beating the Chiefs or the Bucs. It's bad enough the odds are against us as it is. At least get that momentum up so we at least have a fighting chance. I mean, the next two opponents after that aren't so hard, but I don't want to jinx it. You know, the Lions and the Vikings. A week 13's our bye. Then we got to face the Broncos. Then we got to face the Packers week 15. Or excuse me, we face the Broncos week 14. Packers week 15. Week 16, we face a team with no name in the Washington football team. And then week 17, we got the Saints again as usual. This is crucial. I'm telling you that right now. Because if we don't get that momentum built up, there's no hope against the Chiefs. There's no hope against the Bucs. And I think at that point, you know, the chances of us going to the playoffs are going to shrink.
I think when it comes to I think personally, if like key factors, I think 26-23 is actually a really good score for this game, to be honest. I think Carolina wins 26-23. But I'm going to say this because one thing that these teams have in common is the rushing yards, 105.4 rushing yards per game. I think I think the rushing game is going to really matter. You know, I think that it's going to be between Mike Davis and Todd Gurley. And Todd Gurley, I'm going to be honest with you, he ain't Todd Gurley like he was 2 years ago. This is a completely different running back. He's not. I don't think he's as productive as he was 2 years ago.
Right.
Remember, 2 or 3 years ago, he was top 3 for league MVP. And now this dude, he's playing good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the most productive man on his team. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I think it's all going to come down. I think the biggest factor is not Teddy. I don't think it's Matt Ryan. I don't think it's Julio Jones. I think it's going to come down to Todd Gurley versus Mike Davis.
I agree. I agree to an extent. I agree to an extent with that. I think another primary thing that's got to come into play here is the defense. Like you said,
True.
The Falcons defense is the worst in the league. That's pretty damn obvious. They can't play defense to save their lives. I can't even explain that to you. And the Panthers, I've been watching my Panthers. Too many, you know, we're not the worst defense in the league, but we're not the best either. You know, we make too many mistakes on defense. We leave too many wide open. We leave too many wide open areas. That's something I noticed, and that's something that we need to address as a team. You know, fix those mistakes on defense. You can't be making those defensive errors. If you make those defensive errors, you're going to give up too many points, and I think that's something Carolina lacks in a lot, especially this year. And I think that's something they need to double down on is the mistakes on defense, really.
I just want to make sure I'm sorry, goddamn audio. But I just want to make sure that, okay, I did have the right stat. So Atlanta's last 4 out of 6 losses have came to 7 points or less. That's very crucial too. So with that being said, defense is a key factor. And we obviously know Atlanta have been blowing a few leads this year. But personally, I think that would be like a secondary factor. I really do think the first factor is truly, I'm sorry, I can't speak today. I really think the first factor is going to be Mike Davis.
Especially given that Christian McCaffrey got to say designated off the injured reserve earlier this week. So we had our hopes high for him to play this game, but that never happened. Now Mike Davis has to step up like he has been these last few weeks.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty good.
I have faith in him. I like him. He's a great running back.
Is there anything else you want to add up to this Thursday night matchup?
Win this damn game for me. I want my hopes to be up high. All right, I don't want to lose to this damn Falcons team. This team plays like the damn Johnson High School football team right now. I don't want to lose to that.
All right, so we both got Panthers win this game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, I want to go to players in a month real quick, okay, because those were just released today. I want to go to players in a month. Am I right? Today they were released?
Yeah, it was today. I got the notification this morning.
All right, so let me read them. I'll read them in the stats. You want to do it by offense, defense, special teams, and go review each topic by each side of the football? You want to do that?
Yeah, just go about how you feel.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So we'll start with offense. We'll start with the offensive players. NFC offensive player of the month goes to Tom Brady. He had 1,157 passing yards, 13 TDs, and 110 passing rating. And then AFC Offensive Player of the Month goes to Derrick Henry, 344 rushing yards and 5 rushing TDs. Do you agree with that? Do you think these two are the Offensive Players of the Month?
I'll go ahead and this one's a little tough. I know Derrick Henry for sure is. Tom Brady, I mean, yeah. It's tough for me to say yeah, because I'm trying to think about others. I don't think I really can. I definitely agree with the Derrick Henry one.
Here's what I'll say about Tom Brady. I truly think he deserves this.
You think
because
he deserves
remember
it?
because remember the first week, I believe it was in September.
It was September.
And if you remember, the first week was his worst. And he threw a couple picks, don't get me wrong, but like the last few games, he's only had one pick. He's only had one pick. So I mean, Tom Brady, I can agree with this. It's either him or Russell Wilson, but I think what really cost Russell Wilson the Player of the Month was that Sunday night.
The Cardinals.
Yeah, and the reason why is because he threw 3 picks in that game. If he didn't throw 3 picks in that game, I think Russell Wilson would have easily been the Player of the Month.
All right,
so I can agree with Tom Brady. Derrick Henry now. That's a tough.
I have to
Derrick
say
Henry personally. Yeah, I'll go Derrick. I agree with that. Yeah. I should agree with that. Derrick Henry is obviously the most dominant rusher in the game. There's no doubt about that. One thing that really helps is his team's doing something called winning, because there are a lot of great offensive players in the league, but their team is not winning. And so the fact that he is that a main factor, maybe the biggest factor to the Titans winning, that really helps a lot too.
Which is crucial because they had a very rough start to last year, but they started to making the playoffs. Now they actually have a lot of expectations, and they're actually playing like a legit tech contender.
Right, and some guys you could have put on there too were like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar. Trying to think. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar. You could have put Josh Allen. I'm gonna be honest. That's I think the most. He's unbelievable this year, but past couple games have really kind of like slowed down his momentum.
I think, and no discredit to Pat, I still think he's the future of the NFL. But I think the reason why they didn't put Patrick Mahomes on there is because if you look at a lot of the games that he's played this week, it's not all of them, it's some of them. They were very, very close, and those are opponents that he was projected to beat by like however many,
Right.
But that's not his fault. That's not really his fault. So I can't really blame him for that.
Right. And also I think Patrick Mahomes is going into I think finally he's starting to reach that stage in which I really am personally, in my opinion, I think stats don't prove it, but he really is the best in, which is actually becoming more of I don't want to use the word team player because he's always been that, but more of a getting the job done kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Getting the job done.
He's been slowly transforming his game like Tom Brady. Like the one criticism I've always had about Patrick Mahomes was he cannot control a clock, or it's not his fault. That's Andy Reid, but Andy Reid is finally trusting the running game a little bit more to where Patrick's stats are kind of lowering, but it's in a good way because you're winning more. In my opinion, you're winning more dominantly.
Not to mention, he's got a lot of pieces on offense too, and on defense.
Right.
And it's assembled to be one of the best damn teams in the league. So you got to manage that team properly because that team's a Super Bowl contender.
All right, now offense is done. Now defense. So NFC Defensive Player of the Month went to Budda Baker, the safety for the Arizona Cardinals. He had 31 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 INTs, and a forced fumble. And the AFC Defensive Player of the Month went to Myles Garrett. He had 14 tackles, 6 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles. Do you agree with that list?
I can agree with that. I mean, for Budda Baker, I mean, he's definitely playing. He's definitely playing like a good defensive player. I mean, Aaron Donald isn't stepping up. Khalil Mack. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great, but they're not playing as good as they were before. So I mean, I can agree with that. As for Myles Garrett, I'm glad he got his head out of his rear end after what he did last year. And, he's back. He was already, even before what happened last year, he was definitely one of the better defensive players in the league. And it's good to see, he's not doing any stupid things and getting his act together.
I want to focus a little bit on Budda Baker. Yeah. See, I mean, in my opinion, if you asked me like a year ago, if you asked me who the top safeties were in this league, I would have said Harrison Smith, Tyrann Mathieu, Jamal Adams, and Eric Thomas. I would give you those top four. Those are my top four in that order too. Now, it's not even close. Budda Baker is the best safety in this league.
Absolutely.
Budda Baker, and this is a guy who's a great special teamers too. Budda Baker is the type of guy he's another no-nonsense player in my opinion. He is, and if you look at him, he is exactly what Tyrann Mathieu was for the Cardinals when they were succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
He took that role and what Tyrann Mathieu left behind in Arizona. And Budda Baker, in my opinion, I think he's the best safety in this league right now. There's not one person that can argue with me about that. It's not. This is the one defensive player on the Arizona Cardinals who is keeping that team together. Him, maybe Chandler Jones, but those two are the two guys on the Arizona Cardinals that are holding that team together defensively and are doing their job completely well. And then Myles Garrett, again, I'm glad to see that, momentum didn't slow down for him after he was suspended indefinitely all last season. We all knew Myles Garrett was a great player. There was a reason why he went first pick out of the 2016 draft, I think it was.
I can't remember.
28. No, not 28. It was 2015,
right?
No, 2017, I think it was Baker. No, 2017. It might have been 2017. You know what? Let me look that up real quick. But while I'm looking this up, Nate, anything else you want to add to these defensive players of the months?
So far I agree with all of them.
All right, hang on.
I think they're all pretty valid choices. I really got nothing to say. I take a bite out of this.
You were right. He was the first pick in the 2017 NFL draft. He came out of Texas A&M. And personally, he's showing why he was the first pick and why he was the smart pick too.
You know what's funny is that I guessed that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so Myles Garrett, I think Budda Baker is the best out of those two. I do. I truly believe that. Now we go to rookies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got a couple. Oh, my bad. We're not on rookies. I'm so sorry. We got special teamers. We got Johnny Hekker, the punter for the LA Rams. He had 21 punts this month, 13 inside the 20, 42.6 average, and he had a 63-yard long. And then for a kicker, and then for the AFC, we have, I think his name is John Sanders. I can't remember. I might be getting that wrong. It's been a long day. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's been a long day for us both. Let me tell you something. His name was Justin Hekker, right?
Yeah.
His first name, yeah. Let me tell you about.
Wait. Johnny Hekker. Yeah, I was right. Johnny Hekker.
Yeah, my bad.
And Jason Sanders. Jason Sanders went 11 for 11, 7 extra points for 7, and he had 40 points in that month. All right, so talk to me. What do you think? Do you think these are the appropriate picks for special teamers of the month?
That kid, Johnny Hekker, man. Let me tell you something. That kid's got the Pat I said this last episode. He's got that Pat McAfee mindset, man. He's just killing it. He's killing it, and I gotta give my props to him.
I think he's the best punter in the league.
I think so too, and he's definitely playing like it. As for what was his first name?
Jason Sanders.
Jason Sanders. He's doing the same thing. Not as good as Johnny Hekker, but he's definitely on that level. And they both got that Pat McAfee mindset. Outsmarting their opponents, and I like that.
Well, see, here's what I'll say. I think they both deserve it for sure. When you kick 11 out of 11, 7 for 7 and 40 points. Well, first, the one thing I want to know is, like, out of those 11 for 11, how many of them were hard? How many of them were like 40 and above? How many of them were 50 plus? And that's like the one thing, and that's the one thing they didn't tell me. And I would have to look that up. But I will say this: come from these stats, you haven't missed a field goal. I missed a PAT. You have 40 points in 1 month. I think that's really good, and I can't really argue with that. Johnny Hekker, this is not a shock. Johnny Hekker has been one of the best punters in the league this whole year. He is, I think, the best punter in the league, and I'm not going to argue that. Nobody can. And so I agree so far with all these picks. Now, for the rookies of the year, I'm not the rookies of the year, the rookies of the month, we have Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert had 901 passing yards, 88 rushing yards, 11 TDs, and he had 122.2 passer rating. And for defensive rookie of the month, we have your Carolina Panther, Jeremy Chin. He had 30 tackles, 4 passes defended, and 1 INT. So I'll let you start first. What do you think about these picks?
First of all, man, Justin Herbert is going to be one of the future stars in the NFL. I've told you this last episode. I truly believe if Justin Herbert continues to play the way he is right now, he will be one of the future stars of the NFL. Period. There's no arguing that. That kid is that in my opinion, I think he is making a statement to Joe Burrow saying, "Hey, I'm the better pick in this draft." Do I agree with that? That's a different topic for another time. But that's just that's the statement that he's making. With that said, I think, especially with the team he's on, the Chargers, that team has no expectations, but he's carrying them on his back, and he's doing a pretty damn good job with it. He went head to head with Patrick Mahomes. He's going head to head with Tom Brady. He's going head to head with these other teams. That's just to name a couple, and he's holding his own. Everybody thought he'd get flat out demolished by that Chiefs defense, and he didn't. He held his own. And same thing with the when he faced the Buccaneers. He held his own. Same thing with the Saints. He held his own. He lost all those games, but he did his part. It's just his defense isn't performing the way they should be. That said, as for Jeremy Chin, that kid came out of nowhere, man. With a struggling defense, that kid's doing his job, and I love me some Jeremy Chin. I love that kid, man. And he definitely deserves it, man. He's been playing his ass off all year, and I gotta give him I gotta get both of them props because they're all playing their asses off right now. It's just great to see.
I'll say this. I give them both props. I don't agree with either one of them, to be honest. I'll tell you why. This first offensive pick, it's not me being biased whatsoever. It's really not. I think Justin Jefferson beats him there. I really do. When you get a guy who is being compared as a rookie wide receiver and his numbers compared to another Vikings rookie wide receiver, Randy Moss, and they're comparing him to Randy Moss. When you got a guy who is out of his first start in the NFL, he gets 175 yards in his first start as an NFL player. That is some unbelievable historic stuff for a first year wide receiver. It's so personally, I think Justin Jefferson really deserves that. I think he deserves that. I truly believe he deserves that offensive rookie of the month. Then you go to Houston. He has 103. Okay, he has an off game in Seattle with 23. It's probably will cost him the offensive rookie of the month. But then he goes into the Atlanta and he gets 166 receiving yards. And the dude has 3 TDs on the season. So I think personally Justin Jefferson should have won that rookie of the month. But again, quarterback is a bigger and more important position, in my opinion, in the NFL, especially on offense, which is why Justin Herbert probably won that. But I'm gonna give him credit because Justin Herbert has been balling lights out. I think it could have went to him. Then it could have went to Joe Burrow. Then it could have went to Jefferson. I would have took any of those 3. Anybody else, it would have been wrong. It just would have been wrong. And then as for defense, I think Patrick Queen. I think Jeremy Chin's been playing really good, but I think Patrick Queen also could have had a shot to make this list really too. Yeah, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 32 tackles, and he hasn't had an interception, but he's a linebacker. So they'll come. So it's hard to compare safeties and linebackers, quarterbacks and wide receivers, but I think you could have made a case offensively for Justin Jefferson and
Right.
Joe Burrow, and defensively, I think you could have made a case for Patrick Queen because defensively, not many rookies have really been stepping up. And so Patrick Queen is like the one rookie on that Ravens team that one rookie that is stepping up in general, and he's a very important part of that Ravens defense. So
I agree.
So I think Patrick Queen could have made this list too. And that's about it for the players in the month. Is there anything you want to add to this?
Not really, no.
I'll say this though. If he continues balling like this, Justin Herbert, because I also got to get one thing that is on Justin Herbert's side for getting offensive rookie of the month too. It's the type of quarterbacks he's been going up against, and the type of teams he's been going up against. He had to go up against the Buccaneers defense, the Saints defense, Chiefs defense. Great. He's been going up against some really, really tough teams. I mean, recently he went up against
the Jaguars,
Gardner Minshew, and I think that defense and Chargers defense is not playing as good as I thought they were going to play. I thought Chargers were a dark horse team for me this year, and they're not playing like a dark horse team.
Their O-line's good.
Their O-line's good, but their defense is not showing up, especially a team where you have, for corners, you have Casey Hayward, you have Desmond King, and you have Chris Harris Jr. And then on the line, you got Linval Joseph. And then you have Sorry, it's been a long day. Again, I keep telling you, they got a really good. Then you got Joey Bosa, and you got this great defense, but they're not producing like a big defense. They remind me of the Cowboys. They truly remind me of the Cowboys defense. You have all this talent, but you're not using it correctly, and that's the problem
Only
with
they're playing better than the Cowboys.
a little bit, but you know what, not really. So like,
Yeah.
so with that being said, nothing on this list really nothing on this list really pisses me off. It doesn't annoy me, not really. You can make some arguments for other players, but this is a decent list for the first month.
He pulled out the Stephen A. card and it's like it doesn't piss me off. All right, we got all right. What else we got on the list here? We got two injuries reports for Julian Edleman and Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew has multiple thumb fractures. It sounds really painful. As for Edleman, he got a knee injury. Now let me tell you. Let's go to Gardner Minshew first. We'll talk about Julian Edleman in just a minute. But in 2020, Gardner Minshew has 855 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 53.7. Mario, I mean, I gotta ask you, man. Do you think this is a tough loss for the Jaguars, or do you think that they're not really going to be as affected by this?
This is extremely effective. And the reason why is because Gardner Minshew is basically, in my opinion, your only hope on that team for offense. And the reason why is because Gardner Minshew, he's up and down. We understand that, but when he is up, he is up. When he is on his game, he is unbelievable. Gardner Minshew. I remember he had that game against you guys where he just completely last year where he completely balled out. This year he's had games where he's balled out, and so honestly, this is a big loss for them. Big loss for them. And the reason why is because you need a guy like Gardner Minshew, not just the stats he produces, but the charisma that he brings, the energy that he has. You need a guy like that. And for him to have multiple fractures in his thumb, that's a problem, in my opinion.
It's definitely going to be an issue with him throwing. Even at the, I have to ask: is this thumb injury on his throwing hand or is it on his offhand?
You tell
I actually, it probably could be on his throwing hand because I feel like if it was on his no, I can't even say that either. Yeah. Let's look that up real quick. I have a feeling it's on his throwing hand.
But even that, like if he has multiple fractures,
Yeah,
it's still really effective for a quarterback.
yeah. Even if it's not their throwing hand, I was gonna say they could probably play it off without it, but then I just sounded kind of stupid there. But no, I mean, I agree. I think this is a tough loss for them.
The injuries are
You
he's got
know,
multiple injuries to his throwing hand.
yeah. Then that's an issue, and I'm not even gonna. I will look at it from right now. Obviously, it's extremely. It's gonna hurt the Jaguars a lot, given that they're already struggling as it is. They're already losing their starting quarterback. That's
Right.
not good. That said, this might hurt them in the long term too. Because my question is, with that thumb injury, multiple fractures in your thumb, how are you gonna play moving forward?
And
That's
the
really
other
the big
thing, he's
question that
such a
comes out of
fun
this.
guy, Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is a team. If I'm a player, I would love to have Gardner Minshew as my teammate. And the reason why is because he's such a fun guy. He has a mystique to him, Minshew mania. He's got he's got charisma to him. He's funny too. So like, and when he's playing and he's bowling, he's completely bowling. He's not messing up at all. So now it's all going to come down to the second quarterback, which I couldn't even find. That's how bad it was. So if I can't find out who the second string quarterback is, it must not be that great. But I'm not sure about that because we never seen the guy play. All I know is Gardner Minshew. This is probably the biggest injury that the Jacksonville Jaguars could ever hear about, and this is probably the worst news that they can hear about.
It's it's just a damn shame too, because I didn't think Gardner Minshew played well last year, and he started to make a statement this year. Not a big statement, but some sort of progression. Any progress. I always say any progress
Well, he
is
did
better
take the
than none.
start. He did take
But I
he did
mean,
take the position away from Nick Foles too. So, even though Nick
yeah,
Foles was
yeah,
hurt,
right.
they still had a lot of confidence to keep Gardner. And I don't think Jacksonville is going to get a quarterback this draft. I think they stick with Gardner if you put.
I think they stick with Gardner too. I think it's going to be tough. I don't think they should trade Gardner Minshew because I can't really think of any other effective or veteran QBs on the market right now. So I think, I think right now they should just stick with Gardner for the time being.
I agree. Now let's go to Edleman. So I'll tell you about Edleman. Edleman recently got knee surgery. He's not gonna be playing this next week. His time of return, it still has to be determined. And this year for stats, he's had 21 catches, 315 yards with no TDs. So let me ask you, Nate, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Do you think this injury to the New England Patriots is a huge and serious injury, or do you think that it's not as effective?
I'll say it on both ends. Because I'm gonna say yes and no. I'm gonna tell you why. One, they need a leader like him on offense. He's a veteran on that team. We all know this. He's been in the league for over 10 years. He knows his team from the back of his head. But I also don't think it's gonna affect him. I remember yes and no. And I don't think it's going to affect him because, the stats say 21 catches, 215 yards, no touchdowns. He's not performing like Julian Edelman. He's not playing like the Julian Edelman that we knew from years prior. So I think really this is going to go both ways. I think it is because they need that kind of leadership. But because, again, he's been on that team his entire career. He knows that team from the back of his head, or I think he has been his entire career. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
yes, he
also
has.
He's not. All right, yeah. So and also it's not going to affect him because he hasn't been playing like Julian Edelman.
Well, he is, in my opinion, behind Jerry Rice. He's the second greatest postseason wide receiver of all time. He is the second greatest postseason wide receiver of all time behind Jerry Rice. And so, with that being said, Julian Edelman, I think this is stat. I agree, yes and no, because he hasn't been performing like Julian Edelman. Just like you said, everything you said, I 100% agree with. He hasn't been performing like Julian Edelman. But when he's not on that field, who's the next guy up? And that guy is N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry is the next. It would be the big guy. And this year, the Patriots just haven't been playing good, especially now that they got to go up against the Buffalo Bills. Now, here's some good things about them going up against the Buffalo Bills. They haven't played them yet, A. And B, the Buffalo Bills defense has not been as good as they were last year.
As good. And they're coming off of they're
coming off two game losing streak.
Oh wait, no, because they beat the Jets. Oh, that's the damn Jets.
Oh, my bad. One game winning streak because they beat the Jets. But basically,
the damn Jets, man.
Yeah, it was a close game against the Jets, and they got beat by the Kansas City Chiefs. And so with that being said, and they got beat by the Titans too.
Yeah, so it's like the last 3 games are 1-2.
Right. So basically, yeah. So they're going off some lows too. So I think that New England Bills game is going to be a game to watch. To be honest, I think it's going to be a very closer game than people imagine. But again, those games are going to come down to Cam Newton. We'll talk about that tomorrow when we make our picks. But Edleman gone, it's going to be tough for the Pits. He hasn't done a lot this year, but it's going to be a lot tougher for them to win now because they lost
that leader.
But not just that, it's because they need as much as they can possibly have right now.
Because they have not a lot at their disposal. Their defense,
right? So if they lose like Rex Burkhead, that's a problem. Even though he might not be the starting running back. If they lose, anybody, Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson. If they lose anybody, whether they're a starter or secondary, it's crucial to them because they don't have a lot right now to work with. And Belichick again, but it's always next one up. It's always do your job. That's what he goes by.
Right.
And so, hey, let me tell you something, Bill. I'm going to tell you something right now. Your team, despite this, is going to have to do their job. You've been saying this your whole career. Well, guess what? They're going to have to do their job. It's just simple as that. Now.
You're in a very big pickle. You gotta fix that.
But with that being said, I hope Julian Edelman and Gardner Minshew, I hope they both recover quick.
Absolutely.
You don't want to see any players injured. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? So
I'm an injured athlete right now, and I really hate to see everybody else get injured too. It just sucks.
Yeah. All right, now let's go to Carlos Dunlap. He has been traded yesterday to the Seattle Seahawks for a 7th-round pick and B.J. Finney, an offensive lineman for the Cincinnati Bengals. So B.J. Finney goes to the Seahawks. Carlos Dunlap goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you think this is a good trade, Nate? I mean, I'm
Wait,
sorry, Carlos Dunn. I'm sorry,
I was just
BJ.
gonna say that.
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
was just gonna say that.
Reverse it around. BJ Finney goes to the Bengals. Carlos Dunlap goes to the Seahawks. This is a good trade for the Seahawks.
Yeah. Do I think it's the best trade? No, but I think it's decent. I think they'll get something out of him. I mean, he's been playing in Cincinnati, so I mean, no discredit to anybody there, but they haven't really been clicking offensively, given that,
Right.
especially with Joe Burrow. But now you go to the Seahawks with, a huge offensive trio with Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. You get to learn from these guys that are killing it in the league right now. And I think not only is this going to be like a turning point for him, like, talent wise, I think it's going to be more of a learning experience because he's going to learn from a veteran in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's been with that team his entire career, and he knows, and he knows what he's doing. That guy's got IQ of like 1,000 in football. Um, and like I said, he's going to be running alongside DK
Well,
Metcalf and Tyler
well, I'll
Lockett.
say this: he's not really going to learn a lot from Russell Wilson because Carlos Dunlap plays defensive line,
Right.
defensive end. So Russell Wilson, I don't think has anything to do with this. And not only that, I believe Carlos Dunlap is older than Russell Wilson too,
Yeah.
or he
So
was
I mean,
drafted earlier, I think.
I think with them though, he might get more. He might get not experience. Oh my god, it's been a long day, man. I got stuck in
Yeah.
traffic for like an hour, and I'm just like whatever. But and also that defense needs work. The Seahawks defense really hasn't been playing that great these last few weeks. So I think that's a good addition. Especially like I said, that three trio on offense is going to definitely help him gain his momentum up on defense. I think it's going to be. I think personally it's a very valid trade. I won't say it's the best trade, but I'll say it's valid.
Well, here's what I'll say about this. When I look at a trade, right, and I
Mhm.
see a player and I see a player. Well, before I go to what I said, Carlos Dunlap and Russell Wilson are both 31.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, going to what I say, when I see a player get traded for a pick, you look at what the overall of where the pick is, right?
Mhm.
And you look at that and you're like, and you base it off of this. So seventh round pick. Well, first of all, if all seventh round picks play like seventh round picks, then the Seahawks had a steal. And plus, BJ Finney didn't even start for the Seahawks. So if that's the case, then it's a steal. But I always say this: Carlos Dunlap, and this is 31 years old. Okay, he had 18 tackles and a sack this year, so he hasn't really been making eye-popping numbers.
Mm.
Go with that. So I always say it before it ever happens. It's what you do with that pick. Not every seventh round pick is gonna play like a seventh round pick. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If that was the case, if we were ever gonna redraft people, Tom Brady would be the first pick in any NFL draft. It's just
Right.
that
Right.
simple. Not the 199th, the first pick in the NFL draft. He would be that. It's as simple as that. Antonio Brown would definitely go top 10. And you know what I'm saying? Because despite him being drafted in the sixth round, they play like first rounders, you know? And so you never know who the Bengals are going to get with that seventh pick. You just never know. Because not all first round picks play like first round picks. And not all seventh round picks play like seventh round picks, you know?
Right.
It's all about it's not about where you get picked. It's about what you do once you get picked. And so I'm not gonna test this yet. For this season, I think the Seahawks win because they took Carlos Dunlap, and Dunlap can help that team become even a better rushing defense than what they are now. Because they are one of the best rushing defenses in the league. And so him being on that line, helping a lot of these young guys on the D line, that'll really help that D line become a better defensive line. And it's helped them better, not just in the rushing game, but the passing game. But long term, I don't know if they won or not because we got to see who they get from the seventh round pick.
By the way, before you continue, I just want to say I botched everything I said. I meant to say every time I said offense, I meant to say defense. So I apologize.
You're good. You're good.
It's
Don't worry
it's
about
been
it.
a long day.
You're good. Don't worry about it. But for this season, I think the Seahawks won. In the long run, we're gonna have to see what they do with the seventh round pick.
The question
Because I
is,
don't like when people look at like a pick and they're like, "Oh, it was a seventh round pick. They definitely won this." How do you know that seventh round pick is going to be the next Hall of Famer?
not to mention it's a seventh round pick.
Right.
So
Like I can name undrafted guys who like Kurt Warner, John Randall, Tony Romo, Adam Thielen. These guys went undrafted, you know, and they were valuable parts of their team where they are. So when people look at a seventh round pick and like, "Oh, this is a steal,"
How do
You
you know
can't
for
say that
sure?
yet.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
because you don't know who the seventh round pick is.
That's why I say this trade is valid. That's why I say a trade is not the best, but it's valid.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to this trade?
Um, nothing else. All I want to say is, I wish him the best of luck in, Seattle. He's actually going to be playing for a winning team. I wish him luck.
All right. Let's go to. Let's talk about the new White Sox manager, Nate. Introduce that topic.
All right. So the White Sox hired Tony La Russa as their new manager after firing Rick Renteria after their early playoff exit against the A's. Now let me give you a little resume on Tony Russo. He is the third in his 33 MLB seasons, he has won 2,728 games, which is the third most in MLB history. He's a three-time World Series champion. He won with the A's in '89 and in 2006 and 11 with the Cardinals. He got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014. Four-time Manager of the Year in the AL from 1983, 1988, 1992, National League in 2002, and he's got six pennants. And it's funny too because he was the 30th White Sox manager, but is now the 41st White Sox manager. So let me ask you, Mario, do you think this is a good? Do you think that this is a good addition for the? This is a good choice for the White Sox.
When I averaged his well, I did the math. I divided his how many wins he has divided by how many seasons he has, and he averaged 83, about like a little bit below 83 wins. Like, so I'll count it as 83 wins. He's averaged 83 wins a season, which is not bad, you know. I think the White Sox are a very talented team too. When it comes, they have Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, if I'm correct.
Yes. Now,
Um,
Edwin Encarnacion,
Edwin
Yasmani
Encarnacion.
Grandal.
They have a very talented team. They have a very veteran team, and I think adding another veteran team guy to, or adding a veteran manager to that team really helps. You
Right.
know, because again, a lot of athletes, they're always the great athletes are always students of the game, and to learn from a great manager like Larusso over here, that is insane. He's won World Series, he's won pennants, he's a Hall of Famer, he's been a manager of the year, he's done everything you possibly need to do in the MLB. He's coached for 33 plus years. He's coached both AL and NL. So whatever you need, he's done it, you know?
Right.
So with that being said, I think this is a great pickup by the White Sox.
I think this is a very solid addition. I thought personally he retired. So I was like, I wasn't even thinking about Tony La Russa managing the Red Sox. I thought he retired after 2011. That was the last. That mind you, that was the last time he managed a team. That was when the Cardinals, with the Cardinals, who by the way won the World Series that year. That said, I think this is pretty solid. I really think it is because, like you said, you got a lot of veterans on that team. You got a lot of nice young talent in the pitching staff. Lucas Giolito and Dallas Keuchel, just to name a few. Bullpen still needs work, but the starting lineup's pretty solid. You got Lucas, like I said, Dallas Keuchel's leading the way. He's been to a World Series. He knows what he's doing. He's got a lot of experience. Lucas Giolito is a solid pitcher too. I think he's got a lot at his disposal. I think he's got a lot to work with, and you know, with that experience from the past, like you said, he's been to the World Series. He's been to he's won pennants. He's won World Series. He's manager of the year, both AL and NL. So he knows what he's. I think the man knows what he's doing. And to be honest, I mean, expect this team to go pretty far in the next few years. I can't say for sure if they'll win a World Series. I don't know because you still got hot teams like the Dodgers, the Braves. Despite them choking, I think they still got a shot in the next couple of years. The Rays might make a surprise comeback. The Yankees are still a threat despite their pitching woes. They're still a pretty big threat. The Twins, that's another team they have to worry about. That's because that's in their division. The Twins, despite their postseason woes, they're still a pretty solid team. The Indians, I think they could be better than the Indians, but they're still a team that they need to worry about. The A's is another one. Astros,
Yeah, I'd say
I'd
Astros,
say
though. They're still a
Astros. I'd
threat.
say Astros, yeah. But yeah, they got a lot of threat. They still got a lot of threats in the AL. if the Red Sox can get their pitching back, that will be another threat. We all know offensively and defensively the Red Sox are pretty talented. It's just the pitching that lacks, and that's what made us really bad. But I mean, other than that, I think this is not only a test for Tony or Russo, but I think it's a test for the White Sox team in general because they got a lot of teams that are very, very tough and talented. They need to face.
I completely 100% agree, and I have nothing else to add to that, Nate.
All
You got
right.
anything else you want to add to that?
I wish them luck, man. I
Same.
I saw this team as a sleeper this year, and I'm gonna say it in my predictions later on in the year. They're gonna be a sleeper team. Just watch. With that
Absolutely.
with that said, we got our final topic of the night. Wow, already. Or actually, it didn't even feel that long, but it felt pretty long. I can't speak today, man. Anyway,
It
whatever.
didn't feel that long, but it felt that long. Oh my God.
Well, it's been a really long and tiring day, man.
All
I
right, you
can't
want to
speak.
introduce me the last topic of the day?
Yeah, I'll do it. Mitchell Miller is being denied drafted due to history with racism as a juvenile. Mario, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so I found this article today, and I really thought it might have been something important to talk about. So, with the 111th pick in the NHL draft, fourth round pick, they selected Mitchell Miller. He is an 18-year-old defenseman. He is going to be committed to play at the University of North Dakota next season, but they selected him in the draft, and then they renounced his rights, which means they basically let him go. And the reason why is because there was a newspaper investigation that came out that in junior high he bullied a black classmate with developmental disabilities in Sylvania, Ohio. And I have a quote from the kid himself. His name, or he's now a guy, obviously, or an 18-year-old kid. I'm assuming if they're the same age. His name is Isaiah Meyer Crothers or Crothers. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but in his quotes, and I quote, he said, "In junior high, I got beat up by him. Everyone thinks he's so cool because he gets to go to the NHL. But I don't see how someone could be cool when you pick on someone and bully someone your entire life." And then he said, and then basically, he was very open about sharing his experiences that he had with Miller. And so I'll go to the quotes now by the CEO and president. The CEO and president of the Arizona Coyotes, his name is Xavier Gutierrez. He said, "We believe that we are in the best position to guide Mitchell into becoming a leader for this cause and preventing bullying and racism now and in the future." That's what he said when he picked him up originally. And then when he announced him Thursday, he made another quote. He said, "Prior to selecting Mitchell in the NHL draft, we are aware that the bullying incident took place in 2016. We do not condone this type of behavior, but embrace this as a teachable moment to work with Mitchell to make him accountable for his actions and provide him with an opportunity to be a leader or anti-bullying and anti-racism efforts." And then he says, we have learned more about the entire matter, and more importantly, the impact he has had on Isaiah and the Maya Crothers family. What we learned does not align the core values and vision for our organization and leads to our decision to renounce our draft rights. So, one thing that's very important about this is that Gutierrez is a member of the NHL's Executive Inclusion Council, which deals with racism and diversity issues in the sport. So let me go to you, Nate. Your thoughts on them releasing Miller?
Well, before I get to that, let me ask: did they know before they picked him up?
They understood that he had some bullying problems. They understood that he was a juvenile in junior high. They understood that, but I guess they didn't understand. They learned more about the type of stuff that he was doing and more in depth about the race issue in this topic.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I got that right. Well, personally, I'll say this because you already know I'm a man in color. I'm black, and races. I don't tolerate racism. I think that's especially in this day and age with all the the racist acts going on in the world right now. That's a
Agree,
very
100%.
very big deal. And the fact that that came up on your resume is that's not good. That's not good. And I mean, I personally think he should take like they said, take it as a learning lesson. How do I say it? How did our parents say? I can't think straight at the top of my head. Take responsibility for your actions. That's what it is.
Right.
Do that. I don't condone I don't condone what he did either. That's messed up. You don't do things like that. You can't judge someone based on their race. That's just really messed up. And um, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not gonna go ahead and say once a racist, forever a racist, because you can change that. You can change and be a better person. I'm not saying that he's not gonna, but he can.
Right.
However, you know, nobody's gonna condone your past actions, because that you think about it, that pat those the I was always told this, even though I never wanted to believe it as a kid. Now I do. The past has an effect on the future. You gotta, and especially
Right.
in this day and age, you gotta understand that whatever you do, especially when it has an act of racism, that's gonna haunt you for the rest of your life. That's gonna carry on with you. Especially something with racism, that's something you gotta be very careful with.
Right. Agree. And one thing I scrolled down a little bit, and this is what I found from Miller, because I was thinking to myself while you were saying, what does Miller have to say about this? We know what they
Mm.
have to say, but what is Miller? And I'm reading this, and I'll read it what they said. It says Miller admitted to the assault and bullying in an Ohio juvenile court 4 years ago. He used racial slurs against Maya Crothers, physically assaulted him, and at one point tricked him into licking a candy push pop that Miller and another boy had wiped in the bathroom urinal. So there's that. And then he
Oh,
said, according to the Toledo Blade in March of 2016, Miller and another student were found delinquent on courts of assault and violation of Ohio Safe School Acts. Miller was suspended from Sylvania schools after meeting with court psychologists. The other eighth grader apologized, but Meyer Crothers said Miller never did. Miller, who sent letters to all 31 NFL teams prior to the NHL draft to explain the situation, also didn't apologize directly to Meyer Crothers in the statement released by the Coyotes in the Arizona Republic story was published. In Miller's words, he said, and I quote, "I am extremely sorry about the bullying incident that occurred in 2016 while I was in eighth grade. I was young, immature, and feel terrible about my actions." And then, and that's about it. I just read something else. I didn't know
mm.
if that was Miller or not. But
Ah.
so with this now, let me give you my opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
You need to apologize to this kid. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. Here's the
Exactly.
thing. You are apologizing to 31 NHL teams. And the reason why you are apologizing to these NHL teams is because they have something to offer you. It's as simple as that. Did you bully these NHL teams in eighth grade? No, you
You
bullied
bully that kid.
Meyer Crothers. That's what you did. Okay. And so if you want to right your wrongs, I'm okay with that. But you need to apologize to this kid. Okay.
I
Your eighth
absolutely
grade
agree.
buddy did. Your eighth grade buddy did. And he's probably not even an NHL player or gonna be an NHL player. So why are you not doing it? You know what I'm saying? If
Exactly.
I'm like, I can apologize. I'm so sorry for what I did. I'm so sorry. Hey Nate, I'm so sorry for bullying this kid. But if I didn't apologize to the kid that was bullied, what does that do?
Exactly.
You know what I'm
I
saying? Why am I apologizing to you if I'm not going to apologize to this kid? Because I did that wrong thing to the kid. I didn't do it to you. I did it to him. I'm only apologizing to you because you have something to offer me. And I think
Right.
out of him, that's selfish. I think you need to apologize to this Myers Crothers kid immediately. Write him a letter, okay? Write him an email. Send out, hell, if you don't know any of that, if you don't know where he lives or whatever, send a video out. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. I was just gonna say
Send
that
the
too.
video out. And okay, bring out, do some like speeches too, to make sure that kids don't make the same mistakes you did. If you bullied in the past, fine, people can forgive you and move. And if you want to talk about it and influence others not to bully, that's perfectly fine. But you also gotta apologize to this kid.
Absolutely. I
That's
want.
that should be the number one thing you should have done, was apologize to this kid, because you're apologizing to all 31 teams about your actions, and you're probably immature. Maybe you've learned your lesson. Fine. But you have to apologize to this kid. And I don't know why he won't.
I absolutely agree, man. And that's something that he needs to, not only tell. Obviously you gotta tell the leagues they got to offer you. This kid needs to hear from you. All that was in the past. I didn't mean to do any of that. And I agree that it is pretty selfish. Because you know, like you said, that kid that you was with, he's not he's probably not pursuing, excuse me, he's probably not pursuing a professional sports career or just a professional career in general, but you are. That's something you want to do, and especially in a world where sports supports um supports does my bad, doesn't support him. It's been a really long day. My bad. In a world where sports doesn't support racism at all in
Right.
any way, you know, the only way for you to I always say the past is the past, but
Right.
in the past does have an effect on the future. But you can learn from what you did in the past. And here's to say you do learn. They do give and they do offer you something. Who knows? But I think like you said, he needs to apologize to that kid because if he can apologize to that kid face to face or one way or another, it means it. Especially with something as nasty as he did in the past. If he can owe up to that and go up to that kid face to face, or even send him a letter or a video or something like that, some sort, I think he's well worthy of like fixing himself up mentally and just learning from his mistakes and being influenced on those to tell others the younger generation don't do what I did as a kid.
Right. Now going to the Arizona Coyotes, in my opinion, going off the information I am given, whether that's true or not, that's what I
Mhm.
got to go off of. So
Right.
if they knew, so honestly, I give them full credit here. Because here's the thing: how many athletes have been involved in bullying? How many athletes have been in juvenile prisons and delinquents and suspended from their schools?
Hmm.
And all that stuff does happen. But you know what? And I give them credit because they probably looked at it as giving a kid a second chance. But now, like, and then once they found out what the issue was, they renounced his rights
Right.
as a
Because
person.
they realize that social injustice is something that they hugely promote,
Right.
which is it. That's a big deal, and I think that's something everybody should be doing. And knowing
As
that he was involved in something like that, they're not going to allow that.
Right. As for the University of North Dakota, they have not released any statement, so I can't give anything like that.
Right.
But now for Cro- now for Mitchell Miller, that doesn't mean he can't go into the NHL. You're a free agent. You're a really good hockey player, I guess. You
Hmm.
go through college. I don't know what's going to happen to you in college, considering all this stuff going on. That's up for them to decide. Personally, I hope he learned from this, and I hope he learned from this and hope he became a better person from this. And only if he learned from it and became a better person do I believe that he should get a second chance to play. Only if he
Right.
learned and became a better person. But in order to become a better person, you have to apologize to this kid. That's one thing. Second thing is you rewrite your wrongs. Okay. This is a new chapter. Okay, your wrongs in the past. So you focus on the future. You focus on not doing that type of stuff again.
Right.
You
Right.
focus on not bullying other people. You focus on spreading awareness to that issue, and you might get picked up by a different team. And when you do, this is where your new clean slate should begin.
Right. I absolutely agree. I got nothing to add to that. What about you, Mario?
To this topic, no. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying. Hopefully, this a situation like this won't happen again in the NHL. I mean,
Absolutely.
or in
And
sports in
just anything in
general,
general.
right? And
Yeah.
sports are right. Anything in general, bullying is wrong, racism is wrong. I don't agree with any of that stuff. I feel sorry for Isaiah Meyer Crothers. I hope he gets his apology as he deserves.
Right.
And yeah, I got nothing else to add to that topic. Any other topics you want to add to today, Nate?
I just want to add something to the last topic real quick, and I want to say this. I'm gonna go off topic with sports for a second. All right, and I'm not gonna be the kind of person to say if you're a druggie, you're gonna be a druggie forever. If you're a racist, you're racist forever. That's not how it works. It can be that way depending on how you take
Right.
it, depending on the kind of path you take. And I want to tell all my viewers out there, all our viewers out there, you know, the past you did something in the past, and we all want to do things differently in the past, but and the past does have an effect on the future. It's up to you to make a difference. Be a better influence
Right.
in life. Whether you did drugs or you were an alcoholic, you did racist stuff. You can owe up to those mistakes. That's what builds your character. That's what makes you a better person. You owe up to those mistakes, and and you teach the younger generation. Um, don't 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 do what I did in the past. I'm dealing with the same thing. I had a very rough summer with drinking and drugs and all of that, and I'm it's tough. It's tough. I'm definitely helping myself to move on from that and be a better influence to those around me. And that's something I want you guys to do too. I want you guys to be a better influence to those around. Don't do that stuff, especially in a world where it's hot on racism and mental illness. That's a huge deal too in the world right now. Addictions isn't a big deal too. That's something that I address highly, and that's something I want you guys to learn from and be a better influence on with the generation moving forward.
Right, I completely agree. And the other thing I want to say is I really don't like having these like talks about people doing racist stuff. But the one thing I like about these talks is that you get to
Right.
spread awareness to them. And like, you might, whether it's one person, a million, doesn't matter. You get to at least one, hopefully, if you can just change, like, convince one person that whether they are a bully, what they're doing is wrong, or whether they're being bullied, that there are people who actually care about them, especially whether we involve race, especially if people know that we care and like it's all about equality here, like everybody is equal, then that's the best part of talking about these topics right here. Is
Absolutely.
you never know, somebody might just get something out of it.
I absolutely agree. I got nothing else to add to that, and I don't think you do either. So with that said, thank you guys for watching episode 10 of All You Can Talk Sports. I'm your host, Soupy Campbell, aka Nick Campbell. That's your other host, Mario Carpentieri. Stay tuned for episode 11 tomorrow. Peace.